At least 2,000 U.S. troops could begin arriving in the Middle East as early as tomorrow, with more expected to deploy in the region in the coming days. It's fueling speculation about whether or not President Trump will order troops on the ground in Iran. Retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Paul Weber joins me now. We really appreciate you for being here. As you know, thousands of Marines and troops from the 82nd Airborne Division are headed to the region. What do you think their purpose will be?
Yeah, so you can look at it through a couple of ways here. So I think with the MEUs, the Marine Expeditionary Units heading into the Gulf right now, it's going to allow Washington to have some deterrence and flexibility options. Each one of those consists of over 2,500 Marines, in addition to the sailors that are on board those ships. They'll provide rapid response. And I think the one big thing to note is the deterrence they bring with them. It's going to force Iran to change their calculations on how they're going to handle in response to these things going on in the region.
When you say deterrence, do you think it could go beyond that in terms of boots on the ground presence?
I haven't seen any signaling or indication that that's where it's going to go. But again, like with the movement of these troops and these units going forward, that option is there. It gives Washington, like I said, some credibility, coercive deterrence, and what these policymakers is they want options. So they're there if they're needed.
Do you think it's possible the president could send more troops, more reinforcements?
So I've spoken to some people that have significant ties within the region, and what they're seeing right now, and have told me, is that they're seeing requests and supplies, material being sent into the region. So what this tells me is, like, I think that more is possible, sustained presence is possible, and this thing might drag out longer than we expect it to.
President Trump today floated the possibility of taking control of Iranian oil. What would that potentially mean for this conflict?
So I think if you look at Karg Island, right, and I view that as the jugular to Iran's economic prosperity. It controls 90% of the oil reserves and everything that flows in and out of that Gulf. Karg, just for like a reference, is about 8 square miles. The island of Iwo Jima was 9. Okay, so they're small. However, to seize an island like that's going to require a considerable sized force. It is a high-risk operation. Karg is well within the threat rings for Iran's missiles, their anti-ship missiles, as well as their drone capabilities.
Yeah, we know that is very valuable to the Iranians. So is the Strait of Hormuz. And so can you talk to us more about the long-term implications that this war could have for the Persian Gulf?
Yeah, so I think what you're seeing now is the Iranian strikes on some of the Gulf states, I think, have kind of backfired. And you're seeing a push towards a closer relationship with the United States. Specifically, I think the United Arab Emirates called out today that any use of Iranian coercion to block the strait is viewed as economic terrorism. And when you look at it through that lens, you're seeing they're viewing this much more strategically, vice just commercially at this point. So I think what you're seeing is starting to coalesce as kind of a new Gulf order that has moved much closer to the United States than I think Iran ever wanted.
And then lastly, we heard a short time ago the president announced, I believe on Truth Social, that he is going to extend this pause on military strikes against Iran's power plants. What does that indicate to you? I think
it indicates to me that we're going to start seeing some political jockeying right here. They still have the credible use of military force at this point, right? 2 MEUs, part of the 82nd Airborne Division going forward. And of that, you have the command and control node of the 82nd. And that's significant. That allows them to go forward. And now they can begin planning. They have an actual command and control function in theater for their synchronization. It's going to give them some time to set some of this up in case these negotiations stall and they don't work out.
All right. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Weber, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.